What's up my friends, how's it going, and welcome to our brand new Let's Play series with your fellow comrade Summary. As most of you who follow my YouTube community posts will know that I conducted an election in which of course the Empire Divided campaign, which has been overhauled by the Divided Impera team for the patch 1.3.5, in specific the developers Cam and Semmen, and of course I have also contributed in the overhaul by providing them with assets that they required as well as the unit cards for pretty much almost all the rosters. Special thanks to, of course, Shamblex XX and Lord Nemo for assisting me with the creation of the unit cards. Subsequently, our elections have guided us into playing as Rome, or Aurelian rather, which is part of the Divided Roman Empire faction group. And of course, it would have been interesting to play as the Gallic Romans under Tetricus, or even the Palmyrene Kingdom under Queen Zenobia. However, it comes as no surprise that Aurelian actually won by a landslide, because historically speaking, he is the person who is responsible for the reunification of the Roman Empire during the crisis of the 3rd century, and thereby he, very well deservedly acquired the title of Restitutor Orbis, or Restorer of the World. The Divided Roman Empire has two modifiers, the first one being a debuff, which is True Rome, in which Roman factions share a major diplomatic penalty with other Roman factions. This pretty much is a very hefty debuff. It pretty much makes diplomacy quite difficult with fellow Roman factions, and as Aurelian you do have a lot of client states that you begin with Egypt. You can see over here in the map you have pretty much the western half of Anatolia as well as the northwestern half of the Maghreb that are under your control indirectly through client states, and these client states will be fairly disloyal because of course of the major diplomatic penalty. To compound to that problem, of course, the rest of the Roman world under the Gallic Empire as well as to the east under the Palmyrene Kingdom are also Roman factions, considered Roman factions, so it will be very tough to broker out peace agreements with them. So this is a significant penalty, and I think that kind of makes sense. Otherwise you would simply be able to confederate all of the Roman factions and win on easy mode if you were able to coerce them diplomatically to join your faction. Next up we have a buff which is Defenders of Civilization, which gives plus 15 morale for all units during battles in own or allied territory. This is a pretty mediocre buff in my opinion. Of course, most of the battles you will be fighting ideally will be on the offensive, so that will be in enemy territory, so this morale buff will not apply most of the time. However, it can be useful if you are on the defensive, of course. And in particular, as the Roman faction under Aurelian, you have two modifiers, the first one being the marching orders, which gives plus 10 movement range for all armies. This is fairly useful considering the fact that we are already quite a massive realm, and getting from one end to the other end of the Roman Empire is going to take a lot of time, so getting that 10% extra movement range is going to be quite useful. And secondly, we have the Iron Fist, which gives minus 30 resistance to foreign occupation. Once again is very useful, especially considering that of course in the Empire Divided campaign you have a lot of cults, which we will get to shortly as we start up the campaign. All in all, it's going to be a very interesting and long grind of a campaign. It's not going to be as easy as playing as Rome in the Grand Campaign, because of course you are going to have to fight a lot of fires simultaneously, and you're pretty much surrounded by hostiles as soon as you start the game. However, without any further ado, I am going to go ahead and start up the campaign. I'm not going to be showcasing, of course, the introduction videos, because I'm pretty sure all of you have seen them in the trailer release when the Empire Divided campaign was launched by Creative Assembly. However, that being said, without any further ado, let us hop right into the campaign, and I will see you guys in the campaign. All right, welcome to the campaign. Before we hop into the campaign, firstly, a very quick apology. I have a new setup, and of course, I've changed only my hardware, the peripherals like my monitor, my microphone, and so forth. So I do apologize if I haven't yet found the sweet spot for all of the settings. And in case you notice anything that is out of the ordinary, please do drop a comment in the comment section, and I will try my level best to fine-tune my settings. However, that being said, we are now in the campaign of Empire Divided. It is the year 270 AD. Of course, the crisis of the 3rd century, we're in the midst of it, and our very first objective has been issued, which is hold the following settlement: Rome, which is the capital of the Roman Empire, and we get 2,000 denarii, not that big a deal if we are successful. Of course, trouble times, because we are in a crisis. Before we hop into the campaign, let's take a quick look at the tactical map. We'll begin with the diplomacy map. As you can see, we have a lot of client states in the western half of Anatolia. We have Egyptos under control, as well as we have the northwestern part of Africa, which is basically the Maghreb, Mauritania. And of course, we are surrounded by enemies on all sides. An interesting thing that is quite ahistorical is that we start off at war with Roman pretenders in the Italian peninsula, including the western Mediterranean isles of Corsica and Sardinia, as well as Sicily. So we'll have to wipe them out as quickly as possible. Now, the reason why I said this is ahistorical is because, historically speaking, there wasn't any pretenders that Aurelian had to deal with of this magnitude. Of course, he was challenged throughout his reign, but he pretty much had a very firm grip over the Italian peninsula. So this thing is kind of like a balance thing to kind of make Aurelian a little bit less overpowered. Another thing that makes Aurelian a little bit less overpowered than he was, historically speaking, is that the entirety of the Iberian Peninsula was also firmly under Aurelian. However, in this campaign, they are client states of the Gallic Kingdom to the north, led by Tetricus. And of course, when we talk about the Gallic Kingdom, you can see that one of their client states, which is basically Hispania Cyteria, they are not at war with us, although they will soon join on the side of their overlord in a war against us. So we'll have to pretty much, deal in this episode with, of course, the Roman pretenders straight off the bat, secure the Italian peninsula. And then I think the future plan would be to slowly wipe out the Gallic Kingdom, as well as its client states, securing our western frontier as much as we can. And then, of course, we can focus in the east to the Palmyrene Kingdom under the usurper Queen Zenobia. Historically speaking, Zenobia did conquer quite a massive chunk of Anatolia, as well as the entirety of Egypt, thereby threatening Aurelian's grain supply. So Egypt was a really important province, so to speak, not only for its grain supply, but for its access to the Arabian Sea through the Red Sea, which means that, Rome could have or establish trade routes with India, which was very lucrative for the Roman economy. That being said, let us hop right into the campaign. A few things to note: that there are a few changes in this campaign. That's not exactly the same as the Grand Campaign. As far as the map is concerned, it is exactly the Grand Campaign map with some flavoring, renaming of the settlements. Of course, they are now all of them been renamed to Roman equivalents, because these settlements have been under Roman control for quite some time at this point of time in history. Some of the new things that are there in this campaign, and one of the major things is, of course, the cults. We have the cult buildings, which is, your religious gatherings, and we have 5 different cults that we have to deal with. We have the Mithraic gathering. This one over here basically gives a huge debuff to your wealth from industry. So if it is present in an industrial province, that's going to be a significant debuff. Next up, we have the Manichaean quarter. This tends to be in the east around the Persian regions, and it does increase your land recruitment cost. Another thing to note before I hop on to the next cult is that all of these cults add their own cultural influence, which kind of, compounds to your public order issues. So while they do give some benefits as well, like in the case of the Mithraic quarter, you have that plus 30 wealth from culture. Ideally, I do not like to upgrade this until I'm absolutely in a very powerful position to do so. Next up, we have the Christian quarter. As Christianity was growing in the Roman Empire at this time, it was heavily persecuted. And of course, we have, soon after Aurelian, we have Diocletian. He also persecuted Christianity heavily. And eventually, it was Constantine who unified the Roman Empire and, allowed for tolerance of Christianity in the Edict of, I believe, Milan, if I'm not mistaken. However, that being said, the Christian quarter does give sanitation boost and army replenishment, but at the cost of a massive public order debuff and a food debuff. Next up, we have the Temple of Dionysus, which should be mostly spread out in the Hellenic regions, and this actually gives plus 50 wealth from culture, which is quite powerful. It also gives 400 wealth from entertainment, and it costs -8 food. So this is a pretty powerful building, if I were to say so. Lastly, we have the Temple of Isis. This, as the name suggests, should be in the Egyptian lands, and it basically gives -3 public order, +3 construction time for main chains and temples, which isn't that big of a deal, but more importantly, it gives growth per turn, income from farms, as well as wealth from agriculture, which is huge considering, of course, Egyptos, as I mentioned before, it was the breadbasket of Rome. So, Egyptos will have a lot of grain and agricultural resources that we can exploit. That being said, we can look quickly into our politics. In the politics, we have 3 parties, all of them fairly disloyal at -28, which means they can, cause a civil war. And that's not ideal because we are already in a civil war. However, we are protected for about, I believe, 20 turns. So we will have to rectify their loyalty. Otherwise, we are going to find ourselves in big trouble. Apart from that, we do not have government reforms in Empire Divided. Instead, we have government actions. We have 4 government actions, beginning with suppressing foreign cults, which basically gives you public order penalties at the cost of spreading imperial culture and enforcing our tradition and reducing banditry. Next up, we also have the Embrace New Faiths, which improves the public order but conversely spreads the cult beliefs. So pretty much the exact opposite of suppress foreign cults. Next up, we have the increased army payouts, which increases the loyalty of our party members as well as the morale of all our armies, but it affects the upkeep and recruitment costs of the army. And lastly, we have re-established trade routes, which increase trade income and food, but at the cost of empire maintenance. So a little bit of a hit to your income in exchange for, of course, a boost to your trade and your food generation. However, all of these actions pretty expensive, as you can tell. Averaging around 10,000, and of course the only cheap one actually spreads cult beliefs. So I'm not going to be applying any of these at the moment, although I might consider them later on during the campaign. The next major change we have in, Empire Divided is that each character actually comes with a trait of a cult. So as you can see over here, Lucius Marcianus, he is Christian. He's been baptized. And this actually gives him certain buffs and debuffs, especially, more importantly, it does give him that -2 loyalty for political party. And if we actually put him in an area where, Christianity is kind of dominant or it has influence over there, then these buffs and debuffs can be multiplied. So, of course, we will have to be very careful of that because we do not want our party members to get extremely disloyal. Meanwhile, over here we have Cecropius, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And of course, he's an initiate of Dionysus. So yeah, not that bad of debuffs and no loyalty debuffs, so that's great. And of course, we have a Manichaean as well in Pacuvius Atronius. That name is atrocious. But anyways, the research rate, and of course, some debuffs as well. And we have Quintus Polius, as you can see, he is also a Christian. So I think, all of the other cults that are non-Abrahamic, and when I say Abrahamic, there's only Christianity as a cult, they do not come with the loyalty debuff. So these guys can effectively be promoted in their trait. Apart from that, of course, we have the typical intellectual scrapper and brawler and commander traits, which kind of, if those of you who have seen my Let's Play Kolka series, you know that we can upgrade this through certain actions during the campaign. So we will be looking at that. The first thing we want to do, of course, over here is we kind of want to marry off this character, or rather adopt him, so that he doesn't form another party of his own, because we can have a maximum of 4 parties, and I'm already struggling to manage 3 parties, so we are just definitely going to adopt him so that he is not going to break away, as long as he's part of our family dynasty and not a part of the other nobles. He cannot split off and create a new faction. Lastly, we can look at politics, and in politics, I'm sorry, we have to look at our influence. Our influence is pretty bad. We are overlooked, and unlike the Grand Campaign where we have to have low influence because we start out as a republic, in the Empire Divided, we of course start off as an empire, so we have to get a very high level of influence. That means reducing the influence of our political rivals and trying to achieve between 69 to 75% influence to get beloved, which gives the maximum benefits, of course. A quick summary of our faction leader. He's an average leader. I think that is really doesn't make much sense because, you know, it's Aurelian we're talking about. And this guy should be absolutely, you know, amazing, but I guess it is what it is. Now, very quickly, before we go ahead, we do have a lot of technologies, and a lot of tech trees have been changed, so it's not the typical tech trees that you would come across in your Grand Campaign, so you'll have to think a little bit more carefully when selecting these technologies. But we are going to begin with improving our food situation. We're going to start with the Imperial Rule Restored, which immediately gives us +1 public order, +5 wealth from all sources, as well as +2 food, and then we are going to try to you know, enable the building of farms as well. So we're going to go into economy and select local production because we really need to tackle our declining food situation. Before we go ahead, we are going to try to broker peace with all of our enemies, save for, of course, the Romans, because it's going to be pretty much impossible to get a peace treaty with the Romans since they have that -60 cultural aversion penalty, as you can see over there right below expansionism. That actually makes it incredibly hard to get them into a friendly stance with us. So let's just go ahead and start off by trying to establish peace with some of these guys. We go ahead, establish a peace, maybe join the war against the Gothi. It's pretty low. Maybe give you a payment, not a trade agreement, join the war against the Gothi. So I want as many of them to join wars against the Gothi. So let's actually try getting a peace out of these guys. We'll get some money first. They do not accept, so we're going to try that again with a little bit less of a demand, and there we go. Okay, they have accepted a peace. Trade agreement's high, so now maybe join the war against the Gothi, maybe against the Roxolani. That's moderate. Okay, they're going to reject it, so what we are going to try to do is pay them a little bit, because I want to make sure that these guys are busy fighting off each other instead of me. So we're going to give them maybe 600. They still reject. It's well worth it to make them try to join a war. And let's just up the payment a little bit, offer it instead. Okay, they're not accepting it. Let's try our luck with the Gothi. The peace treaty is on high. Join the war against the Roxolani, please. That's low. Okay, so we're gonna see if they will actually give us a trade agreement with this. Okay, these guys are not too friendly with us. Let's just take a quick look at their attitude. -274. That is pretty massive. Okay. Peace treaty. Trade agreement. Actually, let's try with the Scythians first. We go ahead, get that peace treaty. It's on high. We're going to ask for a payment demand as much as we possibly can. They're going to pay us a hefty sum. Maybe we can ask them to join the war against the Gothi. All right, they're not interested. Trade agreement is low as well, so we'll just take the payment for now. Actually, oh, there we go. I made a mistake over there. Misclicked. Let's just go ahead and try the same with the Kadi. Please join the war against the Gothi, please. Someone. Give me a max payment, please, at least. Alright, they won't pay me that much. Okay, there we go. Trade agreement, it's high. Join the war against the Gothi, please. Nope. Join the war against the Marcomanni, I guess. Alright, that's moderate. That's good. I can work with that. And we can offer you a payment. Maybe a little bit less. Alright, now I'm gonna try again. Join the war against the Marcomanni. I want you to kind of wipe out the less reliable factions. And right now it's... Alright, never mind. We can go for a non-aggression. That's great. And we can get some more money out of them. Okay, that's perfect. We've established at least an agreement with these guys. Let's go ahead. A non-aggression. Never mind. Join the war against the Gothi, for Christ's sake. Never mind. Payment. Pay me as much as you possibly can. I kind of missed out on the Scythians giving me a huge sum. So nothing to worry about. A couple of thousand denarii. And trade agreement. Nope, you're not interested. The Roxolani. Let's try the trade agreement with them. They're also not interested. So lastly, we can just go with the Gothi. Give me a peace. Give me a trade if you can. Non-aggression. No, you're not interested. So I guess just give me payments. Fortunately, I wasn't able to turn these guys against each other. But what we are going to do is we're going to start demanding payments from our client states for a trade agreement. They should accept. And might have a couple more client states like Lydia. Let's just go ahead, get that trade agreement and payment. Max it out. That's 10,000. That's pretty good. And of course, we have the Mauritanians. Trade agreement, payments. And give me as much as you possibly can. There we go. Perfect. Numidia is another client state that we have. Payments. Give me the max you can. Excellent. Let's look at Garamantia. Trade agreement is low. That's unfortunate. Nasamones. Trade agreements moderate. Nope. You will reject. Egyptos. Okay, we're gonna slowly check and see which all factions we can establish trade agreements with. This guy is reliable, but he doesn't want to trade with us. Let's try with Colchis. Trade. Okay, that's high. Maybe a non-aggression. That should be fine. Okay. I don't mind establishing as many non-aggressions as I possibly can. Let's just do that. Perfect. Okay. The Buri, can we get a trade agreement with you? Fantastic. Just give me some money. Okay, excellent. And Garamantia, Gothi. What else do we have? We have the Marcomanni, the Mauritanians. Trade agreement, non-aggression. Or maybe a defensive? No. Never mind. Non-aggression, payments. Try to take as much as we possibly can from them. That's okay. That's pretty good. The Nasamones, trade agreement. Never mind. The Garamantians, I think they will not accept it. Okay, so pretty much done, I think, with all of the diplomacy that we had to do in this turn. Maybe what we can do is see if we can establish peace treaties with any of the client states. So there we have one client state. We can get a peace treaty from him. And there we go. Excellent. This other client state is having a non-aggression with us. Britannia, maybe we can get a peace treaty. They're not interested. So yeah, I think diplomacy-wise we're done. We have managed to acquire 60,000 denarii in our treasury, making about 10,262 per turn. And the next thing we need to look at is, of course, our economy. For the most part, you can see that, you know, all of our provinces, we begin with neutral public order, and a lot of them are declining pretty fast. So we have to rectify that. And of course, our food situation isn't looking too good either. So what we're going to do is we're quickly going to try to convert some of these into fisheries in the attempts to improve our food situation. We can even try to build a farm. Actually, no, we want to build the fishing boats over here. And that's it. That's good for Africa Proconsularis, and we can in fact even issue an edict over there. Of course, Achaia is making a lot more money, so we can go ahead, just select that over there. We do not need the barracks, so I'm just going to go ahead and dismantle these barracks. And as far as food is concerned, maybe we do not need food as well. What we definitely will need is initially we will need food, so I'm just going to keep that there at the moment without touching it. And we'll just focus on dismantling this turn. As far as Achaia is concerned, we can turn on the edict, of course. We're going to do the same in Macedonia. Macedonia, once again, I do not need the barracks over here. It's not really required, but I'm going to keep this one right here in Apollonia because we are bordering Brundisium, so that extra amount of garrison will be useful. But in Thessalonica, we can go ahead and dismantle that one over there. We can build an olive oil press for some extra food as well. And we are going to try to convert this into a fishing port. And that's fine. Meanwhile, over here, once again, we do not need these barracks. So we're going to go ahead, just dismantle these two. And we're going to expand, build some silver over there, expand, build a slave import market. And I think that should be fine as far as buildings is concerned. We are not making much money in Thracia and Moesia, so we're going to go ahead and put on that taxation edict. Meanwhile, in Pannonia, we are making food, so I'm not going to turn that off because we desperately need the food, but I can turn off the taxation in Dacia and in Raetia at Noricum. That should help improve my food situation quite significantly. As far as Kyrene is concerned, I just want to dismantle this building so that I'm capable of, getting some food out of this province. So let's just turn off the taxation there. Meanwhile, and the next thing we're going to have a look at is, of course, our armies. We have 3 armies, Legio 1 Dacia under the Emperor Aurelian. And of course, in Pannonia, we have Legio 3 Illyrica. And finally, in Africa, we have Legio 2 Africana. So we're going to have to build up these armies. And the idea is we're going to try to pincer attack the Roman pretenders. So we're going to have to attack from the north and from the south. So from the north, we're going to attack from Cisalpina, push down towards Latium. From the south, Sicily into Magna Graecia. And, eventually try to capture Corsica, Sardinia as well. That being said, let's quickly hop back into the map. One of the things that Aurelian, I keep saying Augustus, but it's Aurelian, my bad. One of the things Aurelian actually did was give up Dacia because it kind of overextends his front line, as you can see over here. He basically retreated behind the Danube River, which made it a lot more easier to defend his territory. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in this campaign. But before I do that, we do have an auxiliary barracks in Dacia, and we do get access to, of course, the Dacian heavy auxiliaries, a very good auxiliary unit. So I'm going to be going ahead and recruiting 3 of those units as I possibly can. I think we can recruit actually 6, okay? So I'm fine recruiting 6, so we'll take a couple of turns to fully build up over there. And over here, what I need is I will need to start building up my African army as well. So for the African army, I want to have a couple of skirmishers, a couple of archers, get some spearmen, and we can get some additional spearmen, of course. We want to also focus on legionaries, but I don't want to spend too much of my money in this turn, so I'm just going to, try to minimize that expenditure over there. Meanwhile, down south over here, we want to recruit. So what do we have up here? Okay, we have 4 legionaries. I need an extra veteran, and I need a skirmisher and an archer. A skirmisher and an archer, so let's begin with that. And we want an extra veteran. Do we have a veteran? No, we do not. So we can get a veteran legionary. And yeah, we need a couple of the cavalry as well. We need about 3 more of these guys, Roman auxiliary cavalry. They are pretty good. So in my opinion, this is going to be the army composition. Of course, I have promised that I will try my level best to, you know, introduce some variation to my army compositions. I know I tend to run with the same, you know, cookie cutter army compositions, and that's because I try to maximize efficiency in everything I do. So sometimes I can be guilty of that, of course. And over here we have very interesting champions, so we're going to go ahead and do that. This guy can be recruited over here. He's pretty good. Meanwhile, this guy can be recruited all the way down south in Africa, I think. That's good over there. As far as dignitaries concerned, we will need some dignitaries as well to help with the public order, bread and games, cultural, and taxes while deployed in the province. So let's get that guy over there. We're slowly running out of treasury, but not to worry. We soon will be able to sell Sarmisa Gutusa, and we are going to sell it to you know, the Kadi or the Buri, because they are the reliable factions. I think more or less I will go for the Kadi because they seem to be reliable. They're close by. Maybe just take a quick look over here, see if these guys have any alliances. Nope. So yeah, I think I'm going to sell it off to the Kadi, and I can do that using the Timbe Trade Region submod. And now this submod was originally made by Mr. Timbe, and it is on the Total War forums. However, it is not compatible with my cultural UI submod, which I have taken from Shady as well as Leroy for the you know, colored unit abilities. So I have gone ahead and uploaded this on the Steam. Of course, link to all the mods that I'm using are going to be in the description, so you guys can check them out. And of course, with this, you can sell settlements with this, you know, compatible Timber Trade Region submod. However, with that, I think we are more or less done with this turn. We do need to recruit some spies, so we are going to go ahead and do that. Let's get a spy successful in all actions. So we get 1 spy over here. And I want another spy can be down south over here. There we go. So we have about 8,000 in our denarii. We are making about 10,000 denarii per turn. Food is the major issue. We'll have to resolve that as quickly as possible. Quickly looking at all our characters. This guy is a general at Carthago. That's great. And of course, this guy is a +9 tax. That's actually pretty good. What is his... Okay, I think they don't have the original intellectual traits, so... Interesting. This guy's tax rate, okay, he's a military. Sorry. That's the tax rate. This guy's wealth and public order. So this guy, I think, would be better suited to being a military commander. He's a deputy scrapper. What about you? Deputy scrapper, deputy and scrapper. So there's no real difference or benefit. So we're just gonna slowly move out this guy. Just replace him with him over there. There we go. Perfect. And yeah, we're going to use him as the general of our 3rd Legion. However, with that, I think I'm done with this turn. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward into the future when I've managed to move, you know, my army out of Sarmisekotusa and kind of consolidate over here in Sirmium. The idea is these 2 armies are going to split off. We're going to go 1 army to the north and the other army is going to move down to the south. And then we're going to press up from the southern Italian peninsula towards Roma. Of course, we're going to be able to link up with our army that lands in Sicily, join up over here, attack Beneventum, attack Roma. Meanwhile, the army in the north is pretty much going to take over Patavium, Mediolanum, and then we are going to stay put, maybe conquer Genua, and then try to defend Cisalpine. It's going to be a little bit hard because we are going to be sandwiched by the Gallic Empire in the north. They hold Raetia at Noricum, and of course Massilia, you know, which isn't their capital. I think their capital is Lugdunum. So yeah, we're gonna have to hold out over here. We are not gonna have the liberty of having this army being able to support us in pincer, as I earlier suggested. But what we can do is we can kind of pincer in this direction from either directions and start to push up. But we'll really need to conquer as fast as possible. Meanwhile, we have a dignitary over here. We can move him towards Thessalonica, because Thessalonica's public order is abysmal. And yeah, eventually we're going to start, you know, deploying our dignitaries as well to help with the public order in these provinces. Speaking of public order, we can actually go ahead and recruit, you know, this guy. So we can just go ahead and recruit him because he does give that public order. And his name is Quintus Polius. So let's just actually go ahead and get him. Quintus Polius, raise an army. You're going to be a governor general, so yeah, we're going to be custodes praetores. We're going to put you in this province, of course, and we're going to try to maximize your capabilities over here. And that's actually a very good trait. I wouldn't mind actually getting that for Aurelian, which actually gives -4 army upkeep cost reduction. That's great. With that, I think the last thing we can achieve is, of course, we want to also be able to marry off Cornelia, our daughter, so that we get an extra character, and then once we get that extra character, we can in fact swap out Pacuvius Atronius and you know, have that extra character lead the 3rd Legion. With that, I am going to go ahead and end this turn, and I will see you all in the future. Alright, welcome to the next turn. It's still the summer of 270 AD because this campaign is 4 turns per year. The Mauritanians have declared war against us. We still are suffering from that food shortage. We're going to move our champion into the armies. That's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to, you know, deploy our dignitaries as well to help with that public order. Meanwhile, march this dignitary all the way down south towards Thessalonica. You can be right at the border over there, so you can help with the public order. And then we're going to take a quick look at our buildings. Of course, we do not want to, you know, have any slums. Of course, we have one more turn before we get all of our Dacian heavy auxiliaries. Meanwhile, over here, we will need to build up a couple more units. So let's just go ahead, get a couple of these guys, maybe a couple of spearmen as well. And we'll need to get quite a bunch of legionaries. Excellent. And we're going to try to recruit up over here as well. So what are we lacking? We need 2 more legionaries. We need 2 more veteran legionaries. We need 1 first cohort. And we need a couple of these guys. Right. And we're missing actually a archer. So we can get the archer, but we're going to wait for the next turn. Actually, get the archer first because he's going to be cheaper to maintain, cheaper to recruit. And we're going to deploy our champion in that army, of course. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. We're going to take a quick look at our provinces, starting to make a little bit more money in Achaia. We'll need to build it up, of course. We are going to go for the wealth from industry. And over here we can build in order to get more food from our fishing ports. If you build a fishery, you get +2 food from fishing ports, which actually stacks up very nicely. Apart from that, I think I'm not going to expand Africa just yet. Don't have the money to deal with that. We're going to build a temple. Of course, we need to improve our public order as best as we can. And over here, we can build yet another temple, I believe is a good call. Let's actually get that temple over there. And over here, we're going to build a procurator's villa. We can, in fact, even start building up some sanitation buildings as well. So yeah, we're gonna be pressed for money over here. So yeah, we just have 727 denarii, so definitely being squeezed for money at the moment, but we should be able to resolve that fairly quickly. We're going to look at the Mauritanians who have just declared war against us. We have the Britannia who's declared a war, never mind. Roman pretenders, no, we want to fight you. Let's see if anyone's willing for a trade agreement. That should really help our case. The Roxolani, meanwhile, never mind. The Nasamones, trade agreement, never mind. Garamantians, trade agreement. Also, the Lusitanians, trade agreement. Nope. And want the Mori. There we go. Peace treaty, that's high. So you're gonna give me the peace that I need. You're gonna pay me a little bit more. There we have it. And maybe a trade agreement as well. Non-aggression. Give as much money as you possibly can. 6,000, that's actually very, very good for our situation, because what that means is that we can build just a little bit more things. So I know we are not saving any money. I think we should actually save some money. But we are making 13,000 denarii, which is pretty significant. And in the next turn, we're going to be able to sell Samisa Gatusa. So let's actually go ahead and start expanding, you know, and building our sanitation buildings, because that does help with the growth per turn. So definitely need to focus on that. Meanwhile, we have our spies. We're going to start moving our spies into the Italian peninsula, get a line of sight of what's going on over there. Can move the spy all the way over here, and then in the next turn he can move over there. Perfect. With that, I think I'm done with this turn. The only last remaining thing to do is to check our public order. It's not looking great. Of course, Libya, we're losing public order. Wonder if I can turn on the taxation here and make food, but we're not able to make food for some reason, so we can keep that turned off. We'll take a look at Achaia. Achaia, of course, is also losing. We need to re-recruit Secropius, and we're going to put him in Athena. So let's just get him. Raise army. You're going to be a Praetorian. Put you over there. Quick look to see what household traits we have acquired. All right. Nothing significant. So there we go. Maybe you can hire a politician. Patrici, council, growth pattern, morale. This guy's pretty good. He is of the Aurelian. But it does reduce our influence, and I do not want to reduce our influence. Instead, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to marry off some of these characters over here, because I desperately need them to, you know, improve their loyalty with me. So let's just go ahead and do that. And I think with that, we are done with this turn once again. So we are going to, you know, end the turn right now, and I'll see you all in the future. We are slowly going to march over here towards Sirmium, link up over there, transfer out all the troops, move back into Iadera, and just start to build up our 3rd Legion, Illyrica. Meanwhile, our 1st Legion, Legio 1 Decica under Aurelian, is going to move towards Brundisium and try to capture that settlement. Alright, welcome to the next turn. We're in Autumn, Rise of Cults, okay. Character trait reports, household expands. Okay, war declared Colchis and the Bosphorus. And now we can start to move Aurelian down south. There we go. And we are going to move, we're going to move Pacuvius and Atronius up to the north. And with Aurelian, what we want to do is we want to start recruiting. We can actually disband this Lancer unit, and we can start recruiting. Maybe let's take a quick look. Start recruiting some of these Roman auxiliary cavalry, I think. Yeah, I think that's the play. Maybe you need to get a first cohort. And apart from that, I think we want a couple of spearmen. We already have that. We just need 2 of these guys over here. That should balance things out. You're going to transfer 3 and your 2 spearmen. We're going to get a couple of these guys, I guess, since we have those guys over here as well. Can get some more cavalry. 1, 2. Okay, we're running out of money, so I'm going to try to preserve as much as I can. We're going to take a quick look at our buildings. Most of our buildings are fine. So we're in the process, of course, of building up over there. So let's just complete this army out. We just have a couple of cavalry to get, as well as a first cohort. We run out of money. So we're going to see what we can actually do to, you know, to restore some of the money. We're going to just cancel that over there. so that we have a little bit more money to get that first cohort. And with that, we have a full army composition over there. Almost. We're missing one unit. Yeah, we're missing a unit of cavalry, so let's just get an extra cavalry over there. Pretty much run out of money for now. So yeah, not looking perfect, but we can move our spies into Cisalpine Gaul and deploy him over there. The other spy can move towards Beneventum, a very strategic province over there, the very strategic region. If you hold Beneventum, you pretty much cut the Italian peninsula in two halves. Any army that has to move from north to south or vice versa has to cross the settlement of Beneventum. So if you actually hold Beneventum, then you can pretty much conquer the southern parts without any resistance. So that's kind of gonna be the play over here. Of course, we will also need a fleet to support our army, so we'll have to see how that goes. Apart from that, I think we are more or less done with this turn, especially since we do not have any money left. So we are going to end that turn. But before we do that, we are going to sell this settlement to, of course, the Khadi. So we select that button over there, select the faction of Khadi, and just sell it over there. So we should be having quite a bit of money in the next turn, with which we can start recruiting up some more of our armies. That being said, I'm going to go ahead, end the turn, and I'll see you all in the next turn. Alright, welcome to the next turn. Missing taxes, hidden agenda, trade agreement has been dissolved. That's because we no longer border them, not because of any hostilities. That's good. We have about 18,000 denarii, so that's excellent. It is time to kind of transfer over some troops and balance out our army. So we get 1, 2, 3. We take 1, 2, 3 cavalry, and kind of recruited the wrong unit over there. So let's see, we need a couple of these spearmen as well, and I think that should work out for us. So yeah, we need one veteran as well. So we get the veteran over there. There we go. And we select Aurelian, and we get rid of this extra skirmisher. That was a mistake, and we have to get an archer instead. So there we go. Aurelian's almost done. We're gonna move all the way over here. No idea what this guy, he has a plague or out of supplies. There's zero idea as to why that is, but that means it's gonna be a little bit annoying, of course. We're gonna build up a cavalry unit over there. That's 3 cavalry units, perfect. And we need a couple of veterans as well. And lastly, we need a legionary unit. So we should be able to have 2 full armies over here. And of course, we're going to be able to have our 3rd full army is already ready over here. So we're going to just start moving the champion out and move him into the port. Food is going to be an issue, and I think maybe that's why we're running out of supplies, because of food. So let's actually just go ahead and try to improve the food situation as best as we can. There we go. And I think we should also convert this into a fishing port, and we can build another farm over here. Excellent. And we also want to marry off this character as well. Excellent. And with that, we are more or less done with this turn. We don't have much else to do in this turn. Spies are looking good, correctly in position. So we eventually want to start attacking, of course. So I'm actually going to, end the turn over here. And in the next turn, we're going to begin our invasion of Sicily. And of course, since I am lacking money, it's a bit of a dilemma. I do not want to sack these settlements because, of course, they have our culture as the dominant culture. We don't have the Roman culture as far as the Grand Campaign is concerned. We have a different culture, which is pretty much the imperial culture, or the culture of Sol Invictus. So yeah, that's definitely these provinces with the majority of culture. It's going to be painful to sack them or loot them, because we will be getting rid of a lot of the population within these settlements. So we might have to peacefully occupy, which means for the most part, we're not going to be getting a lot of money initially from taking over Roman settlements. That being said, we can go ahead, end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. Alright, so Palmyra has declared war on me. What I am going to do is I'm actually going to not call in any of my allies. That kind of means that they'll have to declare war individually on them, and that kind of prevents them from, you know, attacking my allies. I do not want them to be attacking my allies. I do not mind if they're at war with me. I will be keeping an eye out for them. Of course, Egypt is the only possible province that they can take over. So we're just going to go ahead and not call our allies and accept the call to the war. All right, welcome to the next turn. Character is written from mission. Of course, we're having a shortage over here, so we're just going to move our armies as quickly as we possibly can across over there. We'll have to move this way as well. It's going to be attrition, which is unfortunate, but we are going to you know, even upgrade the characters that have leveled up. Focusing, of course, on that public order is the most important thing that we have to resolve. As you can see, a lot of our provinces are on the verge of revolting against us, so we will have to rectify that as best as we can. Meanwhile, over here we have Legio 2 Africana ready to go ahead attack Agrigentum. He's landed on the coast of Sicily. We're going to put our champion into the army once more, and there we go. We can actually just upgrade this building. It's pretty expensive. Next thing I'm going to focus on, of course, is Sol Invictus, the cult of Sol Invictus, so I can start building temples to deal with these public order issues. It's definitely not looking good as far as public order is concerned. That being said, quick look to see all of these things over here. We have a character over here. We can go ahead, try to improve the public order in Achaia. There we go. Okay, that should help slow down the revolt over there, and we can marry off this character as well. Hopefully gets a pretty decent general. And I guess that's good. We can get the army upkeep cost reduction for that character over there. And of course, wealth from all sources. That's pretty good politics wise. Okay. We'll definitely want to get this guy as well. So it might affect our influence a little bit, but he's worth it. And we are definitely going to replace this character over here with our own family member. Let's just go ahead and do that. There we go. So now all of the armies are managed with our family members. So we're just going to go ahead, give him those military logistician to reduce the army upkeep cost, as well as the military conscriptor. So that should help out a little bit. We can actually go ahead and deploy in patrol stands just to help a little bit with the food situation. Of course, we can even do it over here. A little bit risky, but I don't see any armies in sight. So yeah, definitely you can do that. And I think we are more or less done with this turn. We're going to take a quick look to see Palmyra, who just attacked us. They are no longer interested in peace. So definitely that's concerning. All right, with that, we can end the turn, and I will see you all in the next turn. We are going to try to slowly move our way down. Legio 3 Illyrica is going to move all the way towards Cisalpina. Legio 1 is going to move towards Apollonia and attack Brundisium. Well, we definitely want to have a foothold in Brundisium, because that kind of prevents the Roman pretenders from taking over Apollonia. Meanwhile, down south, of course, at Agrigentum, we are going to try to conquer Sicily as quickly as we possibly can. All right, welcome to the next turn. Veteran has leveled up. Characters come back from mission. Of course, we have taken some attrition penalties, so we're just going to go ahead and start marching our way towards our desired destinations. And over here we can move a little bit down south as well, try to get some replenishment going. There we go. Food situation is almost fine. Some characters have come off, have leveled up, so let's just go ahead and give them some abilities. There we go. Chance of cunning, experience for cavalry. Spies have also leveled up, so we can go ahead and get a couple of those abilities for the spies, of course. There we go. And we are still making about enough denarii per turn, so we can eventually even start recruiting up a fleet. The most important thing, of course, is to prevent the food from going too low, because of course that's putting a strain on our replenishment. That being said, most of our buildings have also been built up, which is great. Can't really upgrade anymore because I want to preserve some cash. We are going to go ahead and start trying to improve the public order in some of the provinces, try to reverse as much as we possibly can. We can even try to get food in Thracia. That didn't really increase the food, unfortunately. And we can marry off a character as well, start building up our family tree slowly but surely. Fantastic. And yeah, I think that's good enough for now. And yeah, down south over here, we can go ahead and attack Agrigentum. I'm going to quick save over here, hop into the battle. One of the things that I would like to mention before the battle is, of course, the garrisons. As you can tell, in Empire Divided are very, very professional. They pretty much have the same units you have: archers, skirmishers, the legionary cohorts, as well as the auxiliary spearmen. So each garrison or each settlement fight is not going to be easy, especially the ones you know, outside a walled settlement. But I do see an opportunity over here. If this army doesn't move into Syracuse, I can deploy into the port and then move and attack him outside the settlement of Syracuse, thereby attracting the garrison of Syracuse and making Syracuse an easy conquest for the taking. But for now, let's just quick save over here, hop into the battle, and I will see you all in the battle. Alright, welcome to our first battle of this series, and we are going to go ahead and select our armies: the left flank of cavalry, the right flank of cavalry. The first line of infantry is obviously going to be auxiliary infantry. I'm holding down the control key, selecting all of them and in that order so that they are positioned in that order. Holding down the control key, hit the up arrow key, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And just click them so that they spread out like that. We are going to create our second line, which is going to be our normal legionary cohorts. Again, we're going to maximize their width and just deploy them behind. Lastly, we're going to select our you know, cohorts over here, and this cohort we want to kind of try to give them that square formation. I think there we go. Yeah, there we go. And we're just going to click them again. 1, 2, 3. Put them in a group. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And just arrange them like that. Now, once that's done, you can select all of them. Hold down the control key and the down arrow key. 7. There we go. And now you can see they are in that manipular formation, which is pretty fantastic. Next up, we're going to do the same thing for our skirmisher units, and then we can select our front two lines, turn on the guard mode so that they do not get out of position. We want our cavalry to have the maximum width possible, deploy them on the left and right flanks, then select all of our cavalry and decrease the width like so. And we're going to put on that melee mode. So let's just quickly move our entire army a little bit closer to the settlement, and with that we can begin the battle. So it's the very first battle of the campaign, and we're going to take a quick look at some of the units designed by Semmen over here. You can see the Italian auxiliaries looking a little bit different with the armor that is typical of the crisis of the 3rd century. We of course have our African spearmen, you know, with that Nieder Beaver helmet. Very nice looking unit, of course. They are forming the center. These guys are 300 men strong. Behind them we have our Roman archers, flanked by, of course, our Roman Lancieri. Now the Lancieri, I think they are a sword skirmisher. Just gonna check real quick. I think they are spear skirmisher, so yep, that's pretty good. They will be very good against cavalry. And in the back we have our cohort legionaries, as you can see, very typically 3rd century crisis kind of look over here, with that long sleeves as well as chainmail. And of course we have our first cohort all the way in the back with the eagle standard, and they are flanked by our veteran legionaries, which are very good on the attack. On the flanks we have our cavalry. We have the auxiliary cavalry. Now these guys are a melee cavalry with a precursor javelin. Of course we have our general. It's one of our family members, of course. And on the opposite side we have 2 of our auxiliary cavalry. So we're just gonna fast forward over here, wait for the ship to kind of dock into the port, and you know, once they do that, there is a chance that the enemy will try to meet us. So that's what I'm hoping for, because I do not want to fight a grueling battle. So there you have it. The enemy is moving forward, and they seem to be coming in from this direction. So we are going to face our entire army in that direction. We can use this building as a protection to our right flank so that we do not get flanked. And we are just going to slightly tilt our army in this direction, just to give our cavalry a little bit more room to maneuver. And of course, since you know, all of the enemy is going to be on that right flank, left flank of ours, we're going to move our other cavalry into that left flank. So very quickly, just take a quick look over here. We want to make sure these guys are Roman javelin men. What do they have? Melee attack. So I think these guys are also spearmen. So we got to be a little bit careful of those guys, to be honest. So let's just move our cavalry a little bit spread out. There we go. One of the reasons I like my first cohort to be all the way in the back is because, of course, the enemy seems to focus fire on the first cohort. So yeah, that's pretty much, I'm trying to avoid that from happening. So let's just go ahead, start moving our cavalry a little bit wider out. Select both of the cavalry. You can hold down the space key to kind of get a line of sight of where exactly they're going to be positioned. So we're going to take a quick look over here. We have some Garrison spearmen, of course, and we have the legionary cohorts as well. So yeah, nothing to scoff at, of course. We can fast forward over here because the enemy army doesn't seem to be interested in pushing the attack for now, but I'm guessing they're waiting for the rest of their forces to catch up. So yeah, we'll have to be a little bit patient over here, but I'm pretty sure they will want to attack us once, of course, you know, their reinforcements kind of form up over there. So one thing I like, of course, what I'm seeing over here is that they are spreading out, so that's great. So we can actually just move a little bit more forward. Just we can see that the skirmishing phase has begun, so we do not want to be sitting back and taking a lot of missile damage. So just going to push up as much as we can. We can double time over here. We can quickly try to run into position because, of course, I see that they are pushing, so we'll not run. We'll cancel that. Because we definitely want to be able to throw in our javelins. There we go. As soon as one of these units is done with the javelins, this is where I would recommend that you look at the unit cards. You quickly turn on that defensive formation, you know, individually of those units, so that, you know, you kind of have all of your javelins being completely utilized. And if your javelins are not being utilized, you have the option of moving up a unit a little bit up ahead like that. And over here, we can start to push up slowly, try to force the enemy to attack us. Let's move our cavalry all the way out. We have a unit over here that could flank us, so we're going to move a couple of our cohorts over there. And this unit is also done, so we're going to move up all the way over there. Keep moving up, keep moving up, keep moving up, and you're going to keep moving up as well. So there we go. We can move our cavalry all the way over here. And there we have it. Okay, you can attack over here. You can get into a defensive formation real quick. You can come over here and you can attack that unit. So, okay, all of our front lines are engaged. We can now just attack these missile units. So let's just go ahead, select each of these missile units, bring over here, general over here. That's great. We can kind of move, hide the foliage over there, move our cohorts into that position. Now we have a beautiful gap forming up over here, so we're going to try to exploit that. Meanwhile, we can move our skirmishers a little bit closer. And there we go. Okay, we're seeing big damage over here. Let's just go ahead and charge into this unit from both sides. There we go. Start to flank as well. You can hit the J key, move you back as well, and just move you out of there. Excellent. Keep moving over here. You can just attack this one over here. You are looking good, so you can just start moving in that direction. Move our general all the way out. Start charging over here. You can charge over there, and you have depleted all of your missiles, so let's just go ahead and charge. Get a nice look at this charge over here. Pretty big damage, of course. You know, they're going to be completely surrounded. Click this unit, hit the J key so that they move out. Meanwhile, they are trying to give chase to my general. We are going to move out over here with our cavalry, and this unit over here can start hurling their javelins over there. Meanwhile, you can throw your javelins here. Okay, that's good. And we are going to just fake a charge over here so that we can get them to stop, of course, attacking. We're going to move over here. We're going to move this guy over there. And you can just position yourself over here. Cavalry can come back here. So yeah, we have more or less the situation completely under control. And we're just going to try to reposition over here. And we've gotten rid of this unit as well, which is big. Just definitely just move up. Our legionaries get out of the defensive formation, move back, move out of the way. And there we go. You can go ahead, attack over here. That's fancy. And you can just charge into the enemy units. So once again, big charge over here, massive charge. And we're going to go back and we're going to follow up that charge with another charge. That should break their morale. There we go. We can move back, we can move out. And yeah, with that, we have won the battle. So very decisive victory, of course. And we have won our very first battle. We have conquered our very first settlement. And I will see you all back in the campaign. And there you have it, our first victory, very decisive victory, only 177 losses. That is fantastic. Managed to capture the settlement of Agrigentum, which is very, very crucial for us. Of course, because it is a food-producing province. Capturing the entirety of Syracuse and Sicily will boost our food production, you know, in the early game. So that's exactly what we're trying to achieve over here. So with the fall of Agrigentum, 1/3 of Sicily is now firmly under the control of the Aurelian faction. Let's go ahead, peacefully occupy over there. So as to not have any public order issues. And what we are going to try to do is level up this character over here, give him the military logistician as well as the military conscriptor. A quick look to see the buildings over here. I'm pretty happy with that. We can actually just deploy him into the port. That is going to consume a little bit of the food, but I think maybe we can just put him over there instead, because I have a feeling he should be able to reach to this army. Hopefully this army doesn't go into the settlement of Syracuse, because that would be a little bit problematic for us. But if it doesn't do that, then we are in pretty solid position. A quick look at all of our buildings. We're gonna take a quick glance to see if we can upgrade anything. So we can get another food building over here, so food shouldn't be a problem. I think what's next for us, or next in line for us, is that we will have to recruit another character to be in charge of our fleets. So for the guy who's in charge of our fleets, I mean, this guy is 5 wealth from all sources, so he's going to be very good as a governor general. So maybe this guy over here, yeah, we don't need to recruit a guy. We have one already thanks to our marriage. So yeah, with that, we are done with this turn. I'm going to go ahead, end the turn, and I'm not going to resume at the next turn because, of course, it's going to take some time. We're in the middle of winter. Nothing much to see over here. Armies are going to move quite slow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly move our armies into position to attack, of course, the either sides of the Italian peninsula. And I'll only pause or resume the video if I'm able to attack this army outside the settlement of Syracuse. Alright, welcome to the next turn. I know I said I'll fast forward a bit into the future, but unfortunately, you know, that army is no longer there, so I have no idea where he went. Of course, we have a couple of armies over here. Maybe this guy is somewhere up here in the north. Quick look at our garrison. It is pretty decent. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead attack Panormos. Quick save over here. We're going to hop into the battle later. I'm not going to be showcasing this battle. And I'm going to try to capture the settlement of Panormos as well, thereby improving our food situation. You can see our food is fairly under control for now. We are going to go ahead. We can just move a little bit more aggressively over there and just continue our patrol stance. Meanwhile, over here, moving up in the north is going to be very, very difficult. So we're going to go into the port for now, replenish, and in the next turn, we should get quite a bit of movement range so that we can move all the way towards Batavium. We have quite a bit of cash in our treasury. We are in the process, of course, researching the Cult of Sol Invictus, after which we can start changing some of our temples to help with that public order, of course. Very quick look at our economy. Thracia, Moesia, making a bit of money, nothing too fancy. Initially, it will have to suffice as an economic province. but eventually we'll need to get a hold of the S-tier provinces, especially in Asia as well as Egyptos, which are currently under the control of our satraps, or our client states rather. And of course Latium is another S-tier province, and Hispania also. So we'll have to see how that pans out in the future, but for now we are just going to focus on, you know, staying put over here. Meanwhile, of course, we have you know, a port building over here, so we can actually build a navy. So we can start to do that. And I guess the way we do that is, of course, hiring Secundus Quintius. So let's actually go ahead and hire him. Secundus Quintius, raise a fleet. We're going to give him the better of the two fleets. Deploy him into the port over there. And we can start. I thought we have... we'll have to deploy him over here in Gortina in order to build up, you know, the better version of the ship. Maybe we can just build a cheaper version. Let's take a look at the upkeep. Minus 300. What about you? Minus 450. We can afford the 450, to be honest. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that. But for now, we can just get this supply ship, since we'll need that anyways. And of course, one of the characters has returned back. So we are going to try to deploy him in, of course, maybe Apollonia Pontica. So we're going to raise him as a fleet, cheaper of the two fleet options, and deploy him over there into the port, help with that little bit of that public order. I'm going to take a quick look to see if any of our characters have leveled up, and they haven't. So I think we're more or less done with this turn. We are going to try to preserve as much as we potentially can, and the reason for that is because we want to start building up temples as quickly as we can around our realm to help with that public order, of course. Yeah, I think so. And actually we can get rid of these buildings over here. We can retain that one. We do not need these barracks anymore in Africa. We're looking quite good. That should help us with our food situation even further. And after our food situation is looking good, we can go ahead and start improving some of the other provinces over here. We can actually start to dismantle this, but we'll have to wait and see what our food situation is looking like before we go ahead and do that. What we can do, however, is just try to change this up over there. It's going to take 5 turns. Of course, we have 5 turns to kind of fully research this Cult of Sol Invictus before we can build a shrine. So just going to keep that in mind, and we're going to try to build up a treasury in that meantime. However, for now, I'm going to go ahead, fight this battle, and I'll see you all after the battle is done. Alright, and there you have it. Decisive victory, but a few losses, of course. So it will take me a couple of turns to replenish and then push towards Syracuse. As you can see, the elite Roman garrison can dish out some punishment, so you have to be very careful, especially wall settlements. Not going to be easy to take in this campaign, of course, which makes for a very interesting campaign. You can still win because you will have an advantage overall, but it's not going to be as easy as it is in the grand campaign. So we are going to go ahead, just peacefully occupy Panormos, gain another province that creates food over here. We're going to build up over there and dismantle this building over here. We cannot dismantle that. They have increased their cult of Dionysus. Very annoying. However, yeah, we're looking pretty good. We can even get some army tradition, so we're going to go for the Keepers of the Peace first and the Vanguard Legion. So that's good over there. We have 2/3 of Sicily under control, and with that we are ready to go ahead and end the turn, and I will see you all in the future when we're ready to launch our invasion into Batavium as well as Brundisium. Alright, welcome to a couple of turns in the future. Trade agreements broken, a couple of wars being declared against us. We are quickly going to hop into the diplomacy. Food is once again an issue. Let's see, with the Lusitania, will you give me peace? No, you will not. Hispania, Cyteria, nope. The most important is, of course, the Garamantines. Okay, we want peace with them. And I think that's about it. The Nasamones trade agreement. No, you're not interested in that. So we're going to have to see what we can do over there. Meanwhile, we move our champion out, should give us the ability to attack over here, hopefully. There we go. Perfect. We're just going to continue the siege for now. We have a couple of armies over here down in the south. In the north, we have the ability to attack Patavium, so we're going to go ahead and do that. We could auto-resolve, but I'm going to fight that battle just to preserve as many men as I possibly can. A quick look to see this army over here, where it can actually move. It cannot really reinforce Brundisium, which is great. This army over here can, however. So yeah, we are just going to go ahead and attack Brundisium. It doesn't have that much of a garrison, which means we are going to be in a significant advantage to attack that settlement. Meanwhile, down south over here, I don't think they can reach. This army could reach Syracuse, and this army really can't reach Syracuse. So that's good. We can start to move our spy up to the north. Just try to get a line of sight. We are going to deploy our spy over here. Just going to try to pincer Cosentia, but for now we're going to go ahead attack Syracuse. Syracuse has quite a lot more garrison, so it's not going to be an easy fight. We are going to just continue the siege over here as well. Food is looking a little bit better. We have the ability to get this building up, and we want to build a temple over there. In about 3 turns, we are going to have to upgrade all of these temples into the Sol Invictus temple. And the reason I want to do that is, of course, the Basilica of Sol Invictus actually has a plus 16 public order per turn at level 4, which means a lot of our public order issues will be sorted out. As you can see, our public order is starting to get a little bit better. It's not entirely improved. Of course, we still have problems in some of the provinces that we are taxing. But we will have to try to turn that around as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, let's see if we can actually get some food from here. We can't. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. We're just going to quick save over here. We're going to fight a lot of these battles. Of course, we are running out of time for this episode. It's about 1 hour 16 minutes currently. And what we are going to do is we are just going to quick save over here, hop into this battle of Patavium. I'm not going to be showcasing this battle because it's an easy garrison to fight against. I will be showcasing some of the other battles. So let's just quick save over here, hop into the battle, and I'll see you all once the battle is done. And there you have it, another victory in Patavium, a very decisive victory, of course. And we have gotten a foothold in Cisalpina. We can go ahead and just peacefully occupy the settlement because we want to replenish. We haven't taken that many casualties, but quite significant casualties considering just how small the garrison is. So let's just hop back into the campaign map. There we go. Patavium is ours. We're just going to occupy the settlement. There you have it. You can see that we are starting to inch our way into the Roman pretenders, of course. We have 2 more battles to fight before I can go ahead and call it the end of the first episode. And we're going to begin with Syracuse. And Syracuse obviously is the harder battle, of course, because there's a lot more garrison that we're up against. Meanwhile, of course, Brundisium is going to be the easier of the 2. Because, you know, actually Brundisium looks to be quite hard as well because they have a lot more elite units in Brundisium. So I'm actually going to be fighting the Brundisium battle directly and showcasing that because, of course, we want to see Aurelian himself in action. Meanwhile, down south over here, we can go ahead and maybe auto-resolve this one since I can't be bothered to fight it, but maybe... Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to auto-resolve this one. We're going to go into a protective stance. Just quickly auto-resolve that one. Go ahead, just attack. We're going to take a bit of casualties, of course. I know it's not ideal, but we are just going to peacefully occupy it. Once again, get Syracuse completely under our control. Go ahead, dismantle the buildings we do not need. Upgrade the buildings we can use. And with that, we have Syracuse under control. We're going to go for the Sell Slaves Edict over here. And Sicilia is under control. We're making about good food over here, 13 food, but that will improve once we have upgraded all of our fishing buildings as well as getting the fishery. So we can just quick save over here, and we are going to hop into the Battle of Brundisium, and I will see you all in the battle. Alright, welcome to the battle. Let's begin our deployment. We're going to attack from the other side of the settlement. And so what we are going to do is just select all of our cavalry. We're going to group them as one. Just get them over here. Perfect. Then we are going to group all of our missile units. Just group them as 2 over there. Perfect. Just get them out like that. Then we're going to select all of our legionaries. Turn on the melee mode as well. Get them really nice tight and bunched up. Spearmen are going to be group 5, and of course our Dacians are going to be group 5, I'm sorry, and then these guys are going to be group 6. And what we are going to do is actually leave the siege equipment over there and put these guys as a reserve. Meanwhile, use our regular legionaries. Just put them up over there. Can our Dacians actually... No, we do not have... you know, the guerrilla deployment. So we're going to have to manually move our way towards the gates. So let's just go ahead and begin the battle. And we are going to go ahead, attack the gates over there. Quickly move up over there, our infantry. And we can even move up all of our missile units really up tight and close. I'm going to keep a close eye out for these missile units and try to get rid of them with our cavalry. So we can just position our cavalry like so in anticipation for that. We're going to fast forward over here so that we get into position, move a couple of our infantry up a little bit closer. And there we have it. Just start running up. Okay, we can just fast forward, keep fast forwarding. Go up ahead, and there we go. We can slow down the battle now, and we can start trying to burn down the gates with our spearmen. Alright, these guys are moving all the way in the back, which is good for us, which means they won't have support from the enemy towers, which means we can do quite some damage over here. We're going to start moving up our skirmisher units a little bit closer so that they can throw their missiles. Alright, there we have it. Move a couple of our cavalry over here, a couple of cavalry over there. Very quickly, just go ahead, attack that one. Attack.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
There we go, attack this unit as well. And we have started to scale the walls. We burned down the gates quite considerably, so that's great. Missile infantry is hurling their missiles as well, so that's also good. Let's take a quick look to see what's happening over here. We've gotten rid of that unit. We'll go quickly around and try to attack this unit as well from the rear, getting them out of the battle as quickly as possible. There we go. Gotten rid of that unit. Fantastic. We can just move all of our cavalry back behind. We have this infantry that can come forward now. Our infantry, our legionaries are going to scale the walls. And now in this battle, why I haven't used my auxiliary to attack the walls is because I stand a high chance of the first unit being wiped out. So I do not want that to happen with my Dacian auxiliary. I have given up Sami Sagetusa to the faction. I forgot what it was called, the Kadi, yeah. And, you know, if I lose them, then I'm not going to be able to recruit them again. And they are really, really good units. So definitely want to use my legionaries, which I can recruit from any province. But that doesn't mean I will not be using these guys as a reinforcement. So that's definitely something to watch out for. Let's quickly try to... Nope, you're going to stay over here. Since this one was triggered, you can go up onto the ladders, start climbing up, start supporting, fighting on the ramparts, of course. Should be able to do some damage over here because, of course, we are up against missile units. The gates are being burnt down to 62%. Let's just go ahead. I don't mind the Italian auxilia being, you know, wiped out because, of course, we can recruit them up again. We do have that option, you know, obviously. And I don't mind them soaking up the damage. That kind of takes away the focus from, of course, my legionary units. We're just going to go down. Try to commit over there to these units, try to take out those archer units as well, try to neutralize the gates while we're at it so that by the time the gates have been burned down, we will be able to charge through the gates, and that will actually be a very good opportunity for my auxiliary troops to get involved in some of the fighting. So there you have it. Okay, move the archers. We can come all the way over here. And we're going to move you up ahead. We're going to move you up ahead, get you out of the way of the archers. And actually, this is one of the most effective ways to do that. We're going to run across. And when you run across, you're going to see that they are going to move quite seamlessly across each other. So we're just going to keep doing that. And there we go. We managed to prevent that disruption and we can just reposition them again. So just a little bit of micromanagement expertise for you guys over there. Let's just go ahead and start attacking over here. The gates are at 86%. Come on, we need you to burn down the gates a bit faster. And you guys, I think you will go all the way up here. There we go. We've neutralized the gates, so that's good. All that remains is for the gates to, of course, be taken out of the equation. So let's just go down. Over here, you guys, I want you to come this side. 100% of the gates been damaged, which means very soon we're going to be able to move up our guys so we can move our spearmen out of there. They're taking quite a bit of casualties. Do not want to use them anymore. We're going to move our auxiliary troops into position. Real quick, our archers as well, getting involved in the fighting. Let's just position them so that they hit the backs of the enemies. We're going to select these two units. 1, 2, group them up as separate so that we know our right from our left flank. There we go. We're going to try to neutralize this gate or this tower so that we take less damage from it. And the gates is broken, so we can just go ahead and charge over here. Just charge through the gates. We shouldn't be able to take any fire damage. So there you go. Our Dacian Auxilia are going to go ahead and attack over here. So there we have it. We've managed to get into the gates. So that's fantastic. We're going to start to try to move more of our units. In fact, this unit can come all the way over here. Try to squeeze your way across. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to try to force our way through. So you can just fast forward the battle a little bit over here. And what we need is for our cavalry to come up ahead.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Especially our general, because some of our units is taking a lot of damage, which means we will have to boost their morale. Meanwhile, this unit over here can come all the way down here in an attempt after neutralizing that tower. So we can speed it up again. There we go. Okay, these guys are doing quite a good job of it. Our general can go ahead and inspire over here. We can slow down the battle once again. Okay, we're not just done neutralizing it, we are also going to be taking over the tower, which means it will assist us in our efforts against the enemy. We also have a very juicy flank to attack, so we are going to just start moving up ahead. We don't have to wait to completely capture the tower. I think we should be able to capture it because we still have a soldier in there, do we? Never mind. I think it's going to go back to neutral, unfortunately, but that's okay. What's more important is to get these guys over here to help support our troops in desperate need of help. And these guys can be grouped up with the first group. And we can just group them up like this. Go ahead, attack on the flank. There we go. Fancy that. Fantastic. We just need to break this archer unit and then we can neutralize this tower, which means we will stop taking a lot of damage from the enemy tower. So let's just go ahead, keep pushing over here. This cavalry is losing decisively. We can just fast forward over here because nothing much is going to happen. Okay, we have managed to secure that area, so we're going to just try to neutralize those that tower over there. And yeah, things are looking quite good for us. So we're just going to have to push over there. Come on, keep pushing up. And pathfinding is one of the most horrible things in Total War. Unfortunately. And there we go. Let's just keep pushing up. There we have it. And we have neutralized over there, so we can just go down and start attacking these guys. There we go. Okay, these guys are wavering. We've gotten a significant advantage now. We've managed to just push these guys out of there. We can actually attack these guys as well. Our general, can he inspire again? That will be really helpful. There we go. Let's inspire. You guys can attack these guys over here. Combat is pretty even. We've gotten rid of that archer, so let's just push for these spearmen, of course. And we're going to try to move our cavalry into the settlement, of course. It's not going to be easy because of the pathfinding, of course. But we can find a way to move around. There we go. Found a way to move around. We're going to try to see what unit do we have here. We have a very heavy melee infantry. Let's just try to get into that area. Try to get across. There we go. We cross without... okay, there we have it. We've won the battle very easily. Of course, we've taken some casualties to some of our units, but all in all, a very good battle. And I will see you all back in the campaign. So there you have it, our first wall settlement fight. Of course, we lost 450 men, but the good thing is that it's pretty spread out, so we should be able to replenish quite easily. We have also gained a wall settlement in the southernmost tip of the Italian peninsula, which means it's going to be very hard for the Roman pretenders to dislodge us from our comfortable position in the south over here. So with that, we have Aurelian winning his first battle, of course. We are going to go ahead and just peacefully occupy the settlement of Brundisium. And there you go, Emperor Aurelian himself has leveled up, so we can go ahead give him military logistician as well as military conscriptor. Very, very important in the early game. And we do not really need the barracks over here, but we can turn off the taxation just for the food benefits. And of course, it's going to take 3 turns for Aurelian to replenish. But for the most part, we're looking quite good. And of course, we can then just move the champion back into his army. That'll help a little bit more with the army upkeep cost reduction. And yeah, in a couple of turns, we should be able to squeeze out Cosentia from either sides, which is actually very ideal for us. Meanwhile, up in the north, the plan is going to be to replenish a little bit. We're going to move my spy eventually into the gap over here between the Apennine mountain ranges to get a line of sight of Florentina, Ravenna, try to understand the enemy movement in the province of Latium, of course. And then if I find myself capable of, you know, abandoning Patavium, can go for Mediolanum and then very quickly snipe out Genoa, and then back at Mediolanum we will be able to control the Apennine, Alpine passes and prevent, of course, the Gallic Romans from taking over Cisalpine Gaul. However, with that, I think I'm done with this episode. There's nothing much else left to do in this episode. You can see we've started out fairly, you know, weak in this episode. We've managed to turn around the situation quite a fair bit, especially giving up Dacia was a pretty smart move. You can see we're slowly starting to color the map in the Italian peninsula, and you know, once the Italian peninsula is secure, we're going to be in a very, very powerful position to keep pushing in towards Gallic Rome. And once we conquer Gallic Rome, you know, in the future or upcoming episodes, we're going to focus on how we're going to break that down, because, you know, we're not just at war with Gallic Rome, we're pretty much at war with, you know, the majority of the Western Roman Empire, you can say. That is because, you know, we could conquer Narbonensis, but then the issue is that we are going to be attacked by the, you know, the Iberians or the Hispanians in the south. So we'll have to see how that pans out. We're going to have to create a base of operations over here, kind of, you know, reduce our frontage and then try to push out in every direction, try to break the deadlock, get that all out of the way, keep attacking from multiple sides, maybe hold off over here, maybe focus all of our efforts on the Gallic Empire, of course, or maybe hold against the Gallic Empire and focus all our efforts into Hispania before we can combine our efforts in the Gallic Empire. But that, of course, is all for the future. For now, of course, it seems like our plan is well underway. We just need a couple of turns to replenish before we can continue our offensive into Magna Graecia. And once we conquer Beneventum, it's pretty much game over, because, you know, in the same amount of time, I expect to conquer the entirety of Cisalpine Gaul, which leaves them with only Latium and, of course, the islands of Corsica and Sardinia, which should be easy to take over. especially once I'm able to wipe out Cossentia and move up towards Beneventum. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to stay put in Beneventum, and Aurelian himself is going to move all the way towards Panormos, towards Caralis, towards Aleria, and then link up with this army over here to finally push into Latium. And of course, we even have the army at Beneventum that at that point can push into Latium. However, with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. And if you liked the video, then like the video. And don't forget to subscribe if you are interested for more. Peace and love.